So as soon as we finish the prologue, as we did in the previous video, we're going to be loading into the Sarif headquarters here, and immediately we're going to have a conversation with Sarif himself, and until that conversation is over, we can't actually continue. So in the meantime, we're going to be opening a couple of doors and grabbing a couple of items. Just want to open these so that later we don't need to open them. It saves a very small amount of time, but we might as well, seeing as we have to wait. You can also see I have a stamina bar at this point in the game, and you can see what's actually happening when I'm doing the infinite sprinting. So you get in this room, and you need to speak to Pritchard here when Sarif stopped talking. But because you can see the conversation is still ongoing for a little bit, I'm going to grab this energy and use this ebook for a bit of XP. And then an interesting thing here is that when you talk to Pritchard, as soon as the conversation's over, you regain control in the same place that you started the conversation from. So you don't want to run all the way up to him and talk to him here. You want to talk to him as far away as possible and as close to this door as you can, which is like roughly here. I usually set it up like so it's, you know, you're just past there, and then you should be able to talk to him. Now we need to just sit through this conversation. We can't skip this, unfortunately, but it's not too long, so it's not too bad.
Vous pouvez le réparer?
Si c'est bien ce que je crois. Sans doute. Mais ça risque de piquer un peu. Apparemment, vos processeurs graphiques droit et gauche étaient mal synchronisés. Mais ne vous inquiétez pas. Votre implant de soins sentinelle va s'activer et réparer les dégâts éventuels. Votre affichage rétinien est bon pour le service. Le programme de reconnaissance ne repérera pas encore les ennemis, mais vous devriez avoir le radar et le réticule de visée. Les données biomédicales aussi, en cas de douleur.
Bon, vous avez fini? Parce que Sarif m'attend à l'hélistation.
Je sais. Des intégristes se sont...
So now we have the first example of a dialogue option in this game. We want to ignore this conversation, so as soon as this is done, you want to hold D and press E to ignore. It's much faster than the other option. And a thing about the dialogue options in this game is that you can actually start holding that direction before it even appears. So when I'm mashing through it really quickly and I know which one's coming up, I'll just be holding that direction, mashing space and E. So we need to speak to Sarif, to Malik now, and the conversation here we want to go to reassure and then to ready. So I could have been holding A this whole time, and then I'm going to be holding D, and you should see what I mean about being able to hold it well in advance. So you can see that I selected ready there instantly. So yeah, the conversation there is just left and then right. Final conversation before we get to the mission itself. Can't skip this dialogue line. Also have to sit through this one, but it's only one. Not even really sure why you can't skip this one, but you can't. And now we need to select our weapon, and the weapon we want is the revolver. The other option is the stun gun, but the reason we take the revolver is because every time you shoot the stun gun, you need to reload, whereas the revolver has 5 shots in a round, so you only ever need to reload when you're in an elevator or waiting for something else anyway. So just select lethal here and short range weapon, so the right and then left. There are actually 2 strategies here. I'm not going to show the harder one because I really don't recommend doing it until you're very much more familiar with how clipping works in this game, because it saves a very small amount of time and it's very easy to fail. So I'm just going to show the normal route, and it's only about 5 seconds slower. Just run around here, and now I need to start talking about full damage. Full damage in this game is pretty ridiculous. If you fall from pretty much any height, you're going to die. But there are a few ways around this. One of them is Icarus landing system, but that's not something that we'll be getting until a little bit later on in the game. Before then, though, we have to use things like box landing systems, which is to ride a box down a fall, because that's how physics works in this game, or we can grab a ladder in midair, and that's the one I'm going to be doing here. We have to go down 2 ladders here, this ladder and then one below, but if we grab the bottom one in midair, we can actually skip climbing down all of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run in this direction, following this line here, and just before I reach the end, I'm going to stop sprinting and just walk off the edge. And in midair, I'm going to turn around and grab the ladder. Walk off the edge, turn around and grab it, and then just hit space and you'll drop off. So now we want to sprint around here, and we need to be a little careful. We need these guys to not see us before we enter the factory. So we're going to run along the roof here, and once we get halfway across, I'm going to stop jumping, otherwise they're going to start turning around and they'll see me before I enter. Grab this concussion grenade, we're going to need that later. And then just sprint through this room. It now no longer matters if they see me. So just pay attention to the lines I'm taking here. I'm trying to take the most efficient lines through all of the rooms just to save a little bit of time and sprint jumping. Now we get to the first code in this area, which is not that, it's 1337. And now we are in a decontamination room. You can see that I can't use this door yet. You have to wait a few seconds before it's actually usable. So what you can either do is you can just wait until you can use it, and now I can use it and leave, or alternatively, the fastest method is to, I'll show now, because the decontamination starts again. As soon as you enter, you get locked in the room, but you can take this box, line yourself up with this. I personally use this area here, where my reticle is. I use this area to try and make it parallel. Step forward, step back, and push yourself through the wall. And that will stop you from having to wait for the decontamination. And now we're going to have the exact same thing coming up. But I'm going to hesitate a little here to talk about some guard manipulation I'm going to do in the next room. So again, code 1337, again there's a box to the side, decontamination room, we want to clip through here. But I'm going to talk quickly about the manipulation I'm going to be doing in the next room. If you see the map in the bottom left, you can see there are 2 guards in this next room. And we want to make some noise so that these guys turn around, and then we want to sprint past them without them noticing us. The reason for this is, even though we're on easy, enemies can still kill you. So if they see us too early, it's very possible that these 2 and the guard that's at the end of this room are going to turn around and just kill you instantly. So what I'm going to do, instead of doing the clip, exact same thing applies, clip through here. Personally I use this line to set it up. But I'm just going to go through the door so I can show you. I'm going to jump over the box, make some noise behind them, crouch for a very brief time, and while they're turning around, which you'll be able to see on the map in the bottom left, I'm going to sprint past them. Crouch, and they're turning around, so now I sprint in that direction. And this guard doesn't matter. If he sees you at this point, they're not going to kill you. Just get in this elevator and head down. Make sure you grab this praxis kit, this is very important, do not miss that. And now, if you got hit a lot in that previous room, which can happen and still survive, you probably want to not run around this corner until you're at about 76 health, because the chances are you're going to be left with 26 at the end of this. Or those numbers could be slightly wrong, but that's just a rough estimate anyway. We're going to run around and there's a turret there, and we're just going to tank all of the damage, and if you don't have enough health, it can kill you. Alternatively, you can just run around the corner and go behind these boxes here. That's another method you can do if you're slightly low on health. It's really up to you as to whether you want to wait for a little bit of health regeneration or run around the corner. And then just enter this door. We don't need anything off this guy. I'm just going to run to the next elevator.
Mais vous aviez raison. Il se passe quelque chose de louche. J'ai sur les bras un puriste mort, avec de superbes implants.
And now get your revolver out. Running around with a weapon isn't actually slower. And the next thing we want to do has the revolver out, so you can take it out in the elevator, don't lose any time, and then just move on. Just again, following my rough lines. Some of them can be slightly more efficient, that's fine, but this is just a rough idea. Doing the sprint jumps upstairs consistently is very hard to do, so I don't actually do it around the corners. And then just run past these guys. There's one guard at the end of this room that can move much further towards you than that, and if he does, it can often be safer to just shoot him rather than trying to run past him like that, because he can kill you, especially if they're close range. They can headshot you and kill you pretty easily. And now I need to talk about the final strat in Sarif, and this is a quick save, quick load strat. So what I would recommend doing while you're learning and while you're doing your first runs, and to be honest, even much later on I'd probably recommend doing this, is when you reach the top of these stairs you want a quick save. The reason you want to do it here and not just before the door is because there's a small cooldown on quick saves, which you'll see here. I'll mash F5 and you can see that the second one came quite a lot after the first. And if you quick save too close to the door and then interact with it, you won't be able to get the quick save strat that's after it. So quick save at the top of these stairs, and then come over here. First of all, I'm going to show you what happens if you don't go for this strat, which is just use the door, skip the cutscene, select left to fight Zeke, and then we just shoot him. You can grab his revolver ammo if you want, but it's not that important. You don't really need it. So then you just have to wait for Sarif to stop talking, and then you talk to Malik. But if we do the quick save strat, something slightly different happens. So run over to this door, interact with it, and get ready to skip the cutscene. So I'm hovering over skip now, and I'm going to hit enter, and then as soon as I do, I'm going to be mashing quick save on F5. After about a second or something like that, I'm going to hit F8 and quick load, and it should load me into the room without having the conversation with Zeke. But it also gives the potential for an info link skip, which I'll hopefully be able to show off in a second. So hit enter, mash F5, F8, and then load it. You won't be able to see any of that happening because it's just black, but you can see here that I loaded into the room. So I got an info link skip there. It's kind of hard to notice until you've done this a few times. But once he says Adam, what's going on? Jensen's actually supposed to reply saying Sanders is dead, but I'm pretty sure someone else set this up. But for some reason, doing that quick save quick load strat, it gives the potential to get an info link skip. We don't exactly know why this happens, so I can't go into too much detail about it. I'm going to link an extra video in the description that goes that kind of shows it off to a better extent, I guess. But yeah, you can skip a dialogue line. It saves a considerable amount of time actually, and then we can talk to Malik much earlier because we can't talk to her until Sarif has stopped talking. So now we have another conversation. The dialogue option you want to hear is just rebuke, so right and then right. And that's the end of Sarif Industries. I will see you in the next video.